Cold electricity is at 100% efficiency. Hot electricity right here, that's at 10%.
We are living in a 300,000 year long experiment run by an advanced civilization.
All you have to do to stop them is to take away the consent. They feed off our negativity.
Well, hello there. How are you going today? Hope everything is fine and dandy in your little part of the realm. And it is time again to take a wander through the strange realm that we find ourselves in. And just remember, don't believe anything I say. Don't believe anything you hear in the videos. This is all about being autodidactic, which means to be self-educated. So it's gathering information and coming to your own perspective and your own conclusions on it. And please do give me a like, do share this video around, and make sure you leave your comments.
Did you know the RAF caused a flash flood in 1952 by spraying the skies that caused the death of 35 people? The Lynmouth disaster was at the time declared an act of God. It has since been announced or declassified that hours before, the RAF were seeding the skies as part of Project Cumulus, trying to create massive amounts of rainfall in as quick a time as possible. When the first rainfall fell, the RAF celebrated. There is a link between that and a flash flood, a rain torrent that caused the death of 35 people. Lynmouth disaster. Go and look into it in your own time. You can't comprehend the things that governments have gotten away with doing to their own populations in history. You really, really can't.
And they are still at it. 1952, like 70, almost 75 years ago, they were doing this, right? So they've had this tech a very long time. And it reminds me of a quote by Terence McKenna.
Truth in children's books. Interesting. The first book of Airplanes by Jan Bendik. Copyright in 1958. What do you know? And you want to know what this book says? It says sometimes when rain has been badly needed for a long time, a pilot will turn his plane into a rain-making machine. When meteorologists say that the clouds are right, the pilot goes up and seeds them with a special chemical. Very interesting. I'm sure they want kids to know this. And what else does this book show you? You'll be surprised to see what else it shows you right here. It shows you a flat map. That's right. Because why would they put this in a children's book if it didn't have any significance? Just think about that. And just think about the route that they're showing you, this line, right? Because we all know the inversions that they've done from the globe Mercator projection, right? It says that now a plane can fly the back line from New York to Tokyo. Yeah, because if you showed you this route on the Mercator projection, you would understand that it doesn't make any sense for the plane to fly this type of route. And it says right underneath the image there, 100 years ago, you would have traveled the dotted black line from New York to Tokyo, which doesn't make any sense at all. The first book of Airplanes, Truth in Children's Books by Jan Bendik. Civil Aeronautics Administration.
Yeah, well, there you go. That's what they were telling children, right? That cloud seeding was a thing. Just out in the open, right? And most of it is. All the stuff they do, if you do a bit of digging, it's all pretty much out in the open. They just don't hand it to us. And of course, the map of the world being flat. Very interesting. 5080 said, I know that definitely in the encyclopedias in the early 50s that you can find things like dragons in there. You can find the firmament as well. So very interesting. But let me know your thoughts on all that. Do you think, what is it? Flat, ball, concave? What are your thoughts? The government is not your friend.
The easiest way to start a revolution and create an actual impact on the Earth is by studying the cheat codes of the universe. Let me explain. The elites who are running the world know these principles and they use it against us. CIA documents, censored books and media, they don't want us to know certain things, and so it is your duty to not play fair. Firstly, you must know that your inner world is what creates outer reality. Reality is a subjective experience based off of your beliefs. So if you want to change the world, the first thing you must change is yourself, or your world. Because how can you expect to change the world if you're not able to change yourself? Make it make sense. Secondly, you must know that everything is energy, frequency, vibration. Everything in this universe works as energy, and it is imperative that you, 1, protect your energy from anything that dampens it, and 2, know that attention is what directs energy. So ask yourself, what are you paying attention to? Because whether you know it or not, you are investing energy into it. My advice, focus your attention on creation. If your attention leads to despair, despair grows. When you focus your attention on creation, creation grows. Everything is energy. Side note, this is not to be confused with intention. It is attention that creates energy. Lastly, you must know that everyone and everything is connected, and that God, source, the universe, whatever you want to call it, is inside of you. And this means a couple things. Firstly, it means not to externalize your power. The universe's will manifests through us, and so it quite literally is up to you, not anyone else. Secondly, everyone in this universe has this divine power within them. And so by you waking up to your highest self, you awaken the divine spark in others. The game begins with you.
Be the change that you want to see in the world. The system will always fear 1,000 people who have done the inner work and found their inner spark over 1 million people who haven't.
Well, I agree with that. Yeah, interesting where he said it's all about attention and not intention. Where attention goes, energy flows, right? We've all heard this one. And yeah, I agree totally. It's an inner job, right? And everything is energy. So our thoughts are energy, everything around us is energy, outside of us, and we are energy. So putting your attention on the energy that you want to attract will attract it. And I agree with that. But it is all about knowing yourself, right? Going inside, talking to yourself, and working out what is your passion, why are you here, and then putting your attention on that. But please, let me know your thoughts.
Are there any other animals you think are fake?
Penguins, I think, are very mysterious, and I'll tell you why. Fashion is so emblematic of power. Why is a tuxedo a tuxedo? You know, you don't really think about it. You're like, oh, that's a sweet tuxedo. It's like, why the fuck did everyone start dressing like a penguin with a tail? Because they didn't used to. Before, they'd be like colorful. You look at the Medici bankers and stuff. Why did the Rothschilds get an island in Antarctica in 1815? Why is it called an emperor penguin? Why is the reason we can't go there to protect the penguins? Why did John Kerry go to Antarctica on election day in 2016 to check the penguins? What the fuck? Why do penguins hoard shiny little pebbles and they're all bisexual? And I'm not saying penguins are midgets in suits or anything, but like, I think it's a tell of where some shit is. It would be hard being a central banker. Imagine you lend money to one of these kings for a war. They don't pay you back, so they just kill you. Like, that actually did happen to them. So then you hide the gold, but eventually there could be a revolution. They just take back the gold. So you have to really think, like, where do you put the gold? Antarctica. Where is the one place that the entire world for the last 60 years has agreed that no one can go to for no fucking reason? There was a revolution in France in like 1848, and somebody was like, okay, Rothschilds, we have to tablet it up. Where's the gold? And they did give coordinates that it was like Antarctica. Dude, it's called Rothschild Island next to Deception Island. And you can't see it on fucking Google Maps. Like, it's pixelated on Google Maps.
Yes, penguins, are they real? Owen Benjamin there. A few good points, right? And the gold. Is that where they're actually hiding it, at Rothschild Island, right? A place that no one can go to. If there's a revolution, people can't find it. And, you know, the whole gold thing is a whole nother story, right? That's a whole nother rabbit hole. You know, why gold? Why do they hoard it? You know, they spend all this time, effort, and money digging it up just to melt it into bars and store it away underground somewhere. What is going on there?
I worked with the Nordics. I talked with Nordics. They look like us. They can walk among us. I have transported Nordics to another location to change their future for them to walk among us. I have seen their ships. I have entered into their ships and also into the military style back engineer type of ships. I have been to places that they're in charge. I seen greys, I seen reptilians. Reptilians, they kind of look like their skin is like a, how can I put this? Like a cuttlefish. They have the ability to change colors and change the temperature of their skin, you know, but they also can change by changing the color spectrum of their face, they can look human. So it's kind of weird, but they can look human. All this is going to affect consciousness around the world. Right. The release of these is changing the consciousness. Yeah. 3 people out of 10 people are talking about ETs and UFOs now.
Nordic, I guess, is, now they said it's 7 feet, but then I heard a guy say none more than 6 feet.
The alien agenda, they are still pushing it. And of course, they're pushing that all of these beings come from the infinite vacuum of outer space. But in my opinion, in my worldview, space is definitely not what they tell us. And I don't think they can get there. There seems to be a firmament. There's so many, images, videos of rockets and balloons and things hitting what seems to be a firmament. And so the question is, where are they coming from, if they're here at all? So let me know. Do you think that there are aliens here, like especially the four they've told us, right? Was it Nordic, reptilian, insectoid, and greys? That's what they're sort of pushing, is the four races at the moment. But these races could come from outer lands, especially the Nordics, right? They're basically just like us, but taller, a bit bigger. Where are they coming from? Hyperborea, maybe? There's a few books like Smoky God and other books that talk about giants in Hyperborea. Obviously, Admiral Byrd's little trip into what he calls the inner Earth, but I mean, or the center of the Earth. The center of the Earth, if it's, round and flat, would be Hyperborea, right? The North Pole. And it makes a lot more sense to me that they would be coming from, 10, 20,000 kilometers away rather than light years, right? Makes much more sense if they're coming in sideways. But let me know in the comments, what do you think this whole alien agenda is and what's it all about? What do they want us to believe?
Pay attention to how this lady shuts this airplane door. Now, do you see how heavy duty this thing is and how she has to seal it airtight? Now pay attention to how this astronaut shuts this extremely advanced space hatch to protect him from the void of outer space. It looks way more advanced than the one that we saw previously, right? Not only that, but of course the astronauts literally forget to put their shoes on correctly. If these people are so smart and only the smartest people on Earth can go to space, how come they can't put their shoes on correctly? And of course, the shoe print on the moon doesn't even match the boots that we see for the astronaut suit that Buzz Aldrin, or whatever his name is, was wearing. Not only that, but if you look at the lighting on the moon landing, there's different angles of lighting, which could give evidence that they are using spotlights and they are perhaps in a Hollywood basement and not actually on the moon. I have a theory that the moon is actually made of plasma, so we can't even go. And did you know that for the Apollo space mission, the moon landing mission, this is the lunar landing mission profile? That looks really good, doesn't it? Yeah, we definitely landed on the moon with this giant tinfoil piece of junk. But I made this video entirely for entertainment purposes only.
Yes, well, there you go. Yeah, the Apollo rocket ship map, what is it? The trajectory that it's going to take, the course. Yeah, it kind of looks like something else, right? Are they just, they're just taking the piss at this point, right? There's so many videos out there. Of course, there's Space Rat, where there's like a rat climbing on the outside of a space rocket, apparently, while it's out in outer space. There's lots of bubbles. There's so many CGI fails. And I mean, that hatch, that wasn't even solid. It was just like a piece of material with a bit of Velcro on the edges. And, another thing about the whole space mission is they tell us there's all this stuff flying around in space, meteors and comets and space dust and all this stuff. And of course, they're always, saying that one's going to hit us. Remember Three-Eyed Atlas? Whatever happened to that? But they never worry about it when they go into outer space or to the moon. They don't even care about space dust and rock, comets and things hitting them. That's interesting. But let me know, what do you think? Have we ever been to moon? Have we ever been to outer space? Does it even exist?
Every single cell inside my body, every single cell is happy and well. Every single cell inside my body, every single cell is happy and well. I'm so glad every single cell in my body is happy and well. I'm so glad every single cell in my body is happy and well.
The word of the day is dictim. It's a person who acts like a dick, then acts like a victim about it.
Well, yes, Don't be a dictum. And yes, every little cell, right? Where your attention goes, your energy flows. It's a good little affirmation to sing every day.
I heard a conspiracy recently that the Nazis were a Zionist military operation created to distract from the Bolshevik genocide of 30 million plus Christians in Russia and create enough sympathy for the Jewish people to establish the state of Israel. Once the operation was executed, they extracted all the top military officials from the Nazi regime via Operation Paperclip to the United States and Argentina, which is interesting given that the United States is essentially controlled by Israel at this point, and, well, Argentina, they're building doomsday bunkers down there, and there's a lot of Israeli control down there as well. Not to mention it's outside the blast radius of the Samson option. But what do I know? I don't know shit.
Yeah, what do you think? There's so many questions about World War II and the End Party, I'll call them. Don't want to get banned by YouTube for saying hurty words now, do we? The Bolshevik Revolution, obviously, horrible, and they genocided 30 million people. He says Christians, well, yeah, they were Coptic Christians, so not, that they didn't follow the popes, right, and all this kind of stuff. And in my point of view, the Vatican, the popes, they are just a control mechanism. They are controlled by the world's bankers, like the Medici family, families like this, right, the 13 families. New Rome, right? All roads lead to Rome. That's what it is in my point of view. But let me know what your thoughts on that little theory are. I think it goes a lot further. When we look at Antarctica, New Schwaberland, the technologies of, the Bell, stories about UFOs, flying discs and all this kind of stuff. And of course, the people that built all that were then taken to America, Project Paperclip, and they started NASA. So there's a very interesting timeline there, and I definitely want to cover that in future videos. But what do you think about the whole WW2? What do you think it was all really about? Probably just destroying the old world, right?
I just made a video sharing my realization that we are living in a 300,000 year long experiment run by an advanced civilization, and every person on Earth has metadata, and I just want to share more about that. And also, this is a pimple. So I graduated college last year. I got this fancy ass finance job, and it was cool and everything. I was like really, really bored. And then I found out that if you take your full name and your date of birth, you can literally find the reason why you were put on this planet. It's like we all have an encoded purpose. So I did it, and it was completely accurate. The moment I found this, I felt this surge of energy in me, and I felt like I could will anything into existence. I really missed this girl I hadn't spoken to in years, so I thought about her. She texted me after like 2. My face is clearly, I'm not lying because my face is literally red now, but basically she texted me out of the blue, and at that moment I was like, okay, this is real. So I quit my job and I'm trying to get rid of my degree because I basically understand now that
what? Don't leave us hanging. Yeah, metadata. It's out there, right? That's the whole purpose of AI, is to get all the information on us. Why is that? Is it part of a 300,000 year experiment? Well, I haven't found any information to make me think that. I definitely don't believe that we are in a simulation or in a prison planet or anything like that. I think that's what they want us to believe. I think that's the overlay. I think that's the program, but I don't think it's real. And all this metadata, I'm going to have to do a search. Let me know if you do one in the comments and what you found.
Have you ever looked at old photos from the 1800s and wondered why everyone was so dressed up? We are told it is just progress, but the story doesn't make sense. For a long time, we are told people were just struggling to survive. Then suddenly, in the 1800s, everyone started wearing suits, big dresses, corsets, and top hats. But what if that wasn't a time of work at all? What if that was the millennium, a time of peace where there was no need to labor for survival? Does that explain why they were so well dressed? They weren't working in fields or factories. They were living in a period of rest and abundance where they were free to focus on beauty, art, and order. It looks like everyone was a part of a big, beautiful act. Some people who study history look at the amazing buildings from back then and wonder if that time was actually different from what we were told in school. Was it a time of extreme order and peace, or something else entirely? Then look at how things changed. After the 1900s, all of that fancy dress code went away. Everything became cheap, mass-produced, and centered around work. We went from the high-quality, perfect look of that peaceful era to the total opposite. sweatpants, basic t-shirts, and workout clothes. This isn't just about fashion, it is about how we behave. Those fancy clothes from back then were about presence and beauty. The modern move to lounge clothes is not just about being comfortable. It is like we were told to settle for less. We went from a time where people lived in peace and took pride in their look to a time where everyone looks the same and is forced to work and consume. The question is not why they were so well dressed back then, but why we were told to stop and who wanted us to stop living in that peace. And my biggest question is, almost every image that I have seen back in this era, they are wearing long sleeves. Not every single person, but the majority of them are wearing long sleeves. It doesn't matter what city or state or what time of year, they are always wearing long sleeves. That is so puzzling to me. Does anybody know why?
Well, we did have a mini ice age back in the 1700s, and there's talk of another one being, sort of 1500s. So maybe it was colder back then. Maybe that was when they were doing the freeze, right? The Great Freeze, creating the frozen Antarctic ice wall. Do you think that's natural? Let me know in the comments. Or do you think it was created? And is this, why people were dressing, rugging up basically, dressing for the cold? But as far as the fashion, I agree. I think that's all old world pre-reset fashion. That's how we were. We had free energy. We had good food, clean water, everything we needed. So we didn't need to eat as much, is one thing. So there wasn't a lot of energy going into food production and all this kind of stuff. People probably just ate fruit from the trees that they planted, right? And then followed their passions and did what they wanted to. That's why we see all this amazing architecture and all these, amazing furniture and inventions and all this stuff, because people were allowed to be themselves, follow their passions rather than having to go to work, right? So this is all before they introduced, like she said, the black suits, everyone dressed the same, the alarm clocks, the clocks that they put in all the towers that weren't there originally. It's all now around work, even the way we eat, right? 3 meals a day, because you have one before you go to work, one at the middle of work, and one after you get home from work, right? It's all about working. She did mention the millennium, and I'm guessing she means the millennial reign of Jesus Christ, which a lot of people think was what Tartaria was. I don't subscribe to the religious side of that and the whole Jesus and the saints and everything, but I definitely believe that, we were a free and safe society without war, without conflict, and we just got to live our best lives.
There we go. Finally, 1850s Des Moines, Iowa. That's how a post office should look. Okay, in the 1850s, guys. That's all I'm trying to get across to you. Let's check out the courthouse. I'm sure it looks very similar to this. I was wrong. But what's the sword condom on the top of this courthouse in Des Moines? I'm like, what does the history say? It was like the mayor of Blacksmith, or what was it? Hold your horses. Makes perfect sense. Just looked up the history. In 1850, there was 500 people in Des Moines. This was built in 1858 for $100,000. Why am I the only one talking about Des Moines condom capital? I mean, these are the pictures that I have to bring to y'all guys because we need some answers. That don't fit. This is the one after, 1909. Okay, they must have taken the rubber off on this one. It has grotesque figures all over. Like, why in Iowa? Why do you need grotesque? I mean, it's Iowa. It's Iowa. Or we thought it was Iowa. I guess it's not. There was 6 massive courtrooms in this, and recently they just chopped it up into 29. That's how big those courtrooms were. Where are these stained glass people? Like, where? Do you know a stained glass person? Do you know any of them? Why not Rome here, Rome there? Why not Rome in Iowa, right? Okay, blue and pink. I didn't really think that would go together, but she's a beaut. Oh, Dubuque. That's a place in Iowa. What does their courthouse look like? 1839 to 1841 courthouse. I'll take it, but it had over 244,000 bricks. Okay, this courthouse did. Before that, it was in a wooden church, a little old wooden church. Let's see the next one. Iowa. Who are you? Who are you? The roof had winged trumpet angels on top of it. But World War I came around and they melted them. They just needed the metal, I guess. We hear that with the bells. That's just a tactic, I guess. It's another tactic. Write it down. Our history just can't all make sense. It can't just, all of it that they gave us, it can't all make sense. It can't all make sense. Iowa was only 25 years old, a state for 25 years, and this is the capital this is the one. After 25 years in 1871, let's go back and look in that time. Again, form your own opinion, just talking about mine. The Capital Commission convinced them to have 29 different types of marble and 22 of them imported from Mexico and Europe. Then I'm wrong. I'm going to sleep fine tonight. But that don't fit.
No, it doesn't fit, does it? All of history, history is a set of lies agreed upon, right? History is written by the victors. They tell us this. History, his story, is not our story. And, 500 people and they build a courthouse like that. It's just crazy. And we see this all across the realm. Lots of it in Australia too, with tiny populations and these massively oversized buildings. So why is that? Well, it's because they were all found. They weren't founded. And if you look into these buildings, many of them say they were founded on a certain date. They don't say they were built or constructed or anything like that. They say they were founded. And that's, again, they're telling us they were found. Right? These are the remnants of the old world civilization that was wiped out. Because in my point of view, we have been invaded. We're still in the middle of that invasion. Look around. Again, the government is not your friend. They poison your water. They poison your food. They indoctrinate you through school to get you into a job, to work as a slave doing something that you don't want to do for 40 years. It's not the way it should be. All right. So we need to put our attention on what we want and start building this new earth that we all keep talking about.
And all of Tesla's patents are in here. And here's one right here. This is a interesting Tesla coil that would stick into the air and capture the etheric energy and also the energy of the earth. See how it has a ground right there? That ground is where all the energy comes from. And then the etheric gases, which are all around us, are collecting right there. And what's interesting is at the top of these, they would put a little bit of uranium or a radium-doped crystal. Radium-doped crystal, which we've talked about. Remember, they tell you to stay away from radium? Radium girls, those burlesque girls and all that. Radium paint. Gotta stay away. You get it? Now you get it. The Free Energy Secrets of Cold Electricity. And this is by Peter Lindman. And this was fascinating because a fellow right here, there's Tesla, there's the coil that's out of the earth, and there's Ed Gray. Ed Gray created a motor which could run off the Earth's energy. That motor could also get 500 miles to the gallon. This was done in the 1970s because Ed Gray realized he could tap into Tesla's technology and Tesla's work, and he could tap into what is called cold electricity. Cold electricity is at 100% efficiency. Hot electricity right here, that's at 10%. That's why things burn out. That's why people's engines are only operating at 10% efficiency. That's why you only get about 20 miles to the gallon when you should get 300 to 500 and upwards. Cold electricity taps into that. Cold electricity also doesn't require a million different mechanics and automobile mechanics to fix things. So Ed Gray realized with cold electricity and his engine right there, that you could use cold electricity, the opposite of hot, and guess what? We could be using and getting 500 miles to the gallon.
Well, it's a common story, isn't it? I haven't personally heard of Ed Gray before, but, we've all heard of the water car. We've all heard of Tesla driving around a car at Coney Island with no engine in it, just an antenna coming out the boot. And, many other ones. We've seen that the electric cars from, the late 1800s, early 1900s. This technology, we know it's there, right? This is what happens when humans, men and women, are allowed to spend their time as they wish, right? Using their imagination, using their passions and their innate skills. This is what we come up with, amazing stuff. But of course, the parasites that have invaded us all the time, they go and either buy the patents and then they hide them, they file them away so no one can see them, or the inventor mysteriously ends up being not alive anymore. It's the same old story. So I guess what do we learn from this? Well, if you've got an invention, don't try and sell it on the mainstream mass market, right? Create it and get it out there. Just sort of pass it around, right? Keep it hush hush until it's out to a lot of people who have the information. And once that's done, it can't be stopped, right? If they have to go and unalive thousands of people, it's a much different story, right? And of course, the only reason people do release them and get patents and that is because they want to make money and they want to get more into the system. But that doesn't work. It's the system that's a problem. We've got to start working our way out of the system, in my humble opinion.
All you have to do to stop them is to take away the consent. They feed off our negativity. When you get caught in one of those negative thought spirals, stop and take a minute. Think back to what it was that triggered you. Very often it will have been something outside of yourself. That's where the manipulation is. They provoke you into feeling negative, so that then they can feed off the negativity. It's quite insidious, it's very manipulative, it's very cunning, and the consent is presumed. What have we got to fight against them? Consent. There's a particularly powerful incantation that I use, but you can create your own. So why don't you try it? Next time you are spiraling, panicky, feel desolate, lost, hopeless, like there's no point to any, stop, take a breath, a really deep one, maybe 5. Out loud, take away the consent. Tell them, I do not consent to you using my energy, and just see what happens.
Take away your consent. And I agree, everything, even though it doesn't seem like it, I think everything is consensual. We have to agree. It's like what's happening at the moment with AI and the data centers and the L circuit, the encroachment of that, which I believe is the simulation, right? They're building it and they're offering it to us. Come and live in our simulation. Just sit down. We'll bring you everything you need, right? We'll think for you. Put on these goggles. You can look however you want. You can be wherever you want, but it's all fake. Right, it's the simulation that they will control, and it's an offer. If we refuse to put the goggles on, if we refuse to use AI and all these, things, and we refuse mainly to subsidize their nefariousness, right, which basically means stop paying taxes, right, because the governments are funding all this stuff with our money. So if we withdraw consent, then I think that is definitely, it's a good first step, right? Like we've got to withdraw. And have you ever tried that? Are you going to try that? If you're low on energy, if you've got those strange voices in your head, just say, I do not consent to this. I don't consent. And see what happens. And then let me know what happened in the comments. And there we go, guys. That is done and dusted for another one. I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, please do give me a like, share this around, hype it up, all that good stuff, and leave me your comments. Let me know what you thought about these videos. And of course, if you're not subscribed, what the bloody hell are you doing? Hit the subscribe button and make sure you hit the bell too, and you'll be notified of all my future uploads. And most of all, as always, stay awesome because you are, and I'll talk to you on the next upload. Bye for now.
Puss. Stop.
We are not starting this. No.
Bruh, I knew your ass would jump in the fucking fence, bruh. No, go. Go. The fuck?
You are not a gentle boy. You kind of are.
I can't get up.